match for round 1 of the 16 rounds of the Star City Games Open Series featuring the Invitational. This is game 3 here. Is it Jonathan Job or Jonathan Job?
Jonathan Job.
Jonathan Job.
I know
here.
John pretty well. I stayed with him at Grand Prix Houston. He is playing Naya mid-range. He is a Legacy Open champion. But the gentleman on the left, that people are going to be, they are going to become intimately familiar with Sam Pardee. He was the runner-up of Grand Prix Toronto with with Malaria Pod in Modern, losing to Willie Edel in his Jund deck. He plays a ton online, SMD Stir on Magic Online. This is a young player, a very capable player. He has no bites in this tournament.
I've played against him a lot on Moto.
He is
Magic Online.
A very, very good Magic player. He is young. You are going to know who this person is in the future as we see a Borderland Ranger here from John. Very impressive finish this last weekend in Grand Prix Toronto with Malaria Pod. He even said in his player profile, he's played over 1,000 matches with that deck. I've played against him quite a bit when I was testing Modern for the Pro Tour. He's very adept at that deck. I wouldn't be surprised to see how good he is here with blue, white, red mid-range as well. Now, Adrian, I know that you have John's deck list in front of you. We see it say Naya mid-range on the screen. Anything kind of strange or out of place? Or, it's our pretty typical Naya mid-range deck.
I mean, this looks to me to be basically pretty straightforward. Garruk Primal Hunter in the main is one of the more unusual choices, and I have to say I love it. If you're in a Thragtusk fight, there are few cards that bust open a Thragtusk fight more than Garruk Primal Hunter. One of the reasons, both sides, making beasts, well, that's what a Thragtusk does when it dies, and a lot of things happen to die when you're fighting Thragtusk v Thragtusk. But then just going like, I'll draw 5 cards. How about 6 cards? Something like that.
As we're going to see a Triumph of Ferocity here on the second main phase for John. Triumph, as you guys can see on the screen, being a upkeep, draw a card if you control the creature with the greatest power, which Jonathan no longer does because you see a main phase Restoration here. Restoration Angel, from Sam. Now, if John can get that off the board, he'll be able to draw the card, but I'm not sure that he's going to be able to. He does have a Selesnya Charm, so he could get a little crafty and make his guy into a 4/4.
Seems like a lot of effort.
Just to get himself an extra card. I mean, it does also let him attack.
That's fair, okay.
And that's exactly what we're going to see.
And we see the draw from the trigger, which he did not forget.
Yep.
I wonder if Sam would have reminded him, should he have forgotten.
Seems unlikely. Seems unlikely, as we're going to see the draw from the turn as well. John's going to play Kessig Wolfrun. You're going to see him coming across with a 4/4 Borderland Ranger, not a 2/2, for those of you guys just tuning in.
Also, for you just tuning in, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Cedric Phillips. Join us on Twitter. That's at SCG Live, hashtag SCGINVI. And a pass after the attack for 4 goes back to Sam Pardee.
Now, looking at Sam's deck list as they're going to continue play here, he is playing blue, white, red mid-range. He is without Thundermaw Hellkite. He does have Geist of St. Traff, Snapcaster, and Restoration Angel as 4 ofs. And then you're going to find his spell suite. He's got 4 Dark Scour, 4 Pillar of Flame. One card that you will find interesting here is he has 3 copies of Counterflux, no copies of Dissipate.
We see a activation of the Kessig Wolfrun during upkeep to make sure the Triumph triggers, and also to create a nice block or a nice attacker. And during that turn, the 2 draws, I saw Sigarda show up. There's only 1 card, 1 copy of Sigarda in the sideboard. That's a really difficult card to deal with.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty tough for Sam's deck to deal with. I mean, looking at his deck list, what you find in mid-range versus just blue, white, red control, more of Jerry Thompson's list, is you're not going to find any Supreme Verdicts in his main deck. Now, we are in Game 3, so there are 3 copies of Supreme Verdict in Samuel's sideboard. Not sure if he has one in his hand right now or not, or even if he boarded it in because we're joining the match in progress. But again, if he has not boarded that card in, Sigarda is going to be extremely difficult for him to beat.
I mean, I would say that the only cards he has in his 75 that can handle Sigarda are Runechanter's Pike with help and the 3 Supreme Verdicts.
Yeah. And taking a look at John's hand right now, is we're not going to see an activation of Triumph Ferocity this turn. Likely going to be wanting to cast that Sigarda. He also has an Angel Serenity in his hand to go along with lands.
If you don't know Sigarda, part of the reason Sigarda is so problematic, it's hexproof. And a 5/5 flying hexproof creature for 5 mana, that's efficient.
That's nothing to ignore. That's for sure.
I mean, it reminds me of like Solkanar the Swamp King, but upgraded about 5 million times.
So now we see another Borderland Ranger here for John. John just going to get his mana online. And I mean, he does have a Kessig Wolfrun in play as well, so he does have a nice mana sink to go along with his Sigarda and his Angel Serenity. Kessig Wolfrun, a card that a lot of pros have been saying, and I agree and echo these sentiments. It's a card that's picking up in popularity a lot right now. And the main reason for that is its ability to chase down a Sphinx's Revelation.
Yeah. Now, one of the reasons that Jonathan is likely slowing... boom, there's the Sigarda. Do you have Counterflux?
And I would be surprised if he had left Counterflux in after sideboard.
I agree, but Patrick Chapin did it, so...
Yeah, so it could be fine, but we do see Sigarda on the screen for you guys. Flying Hexproof, 5/5 for 5 mana. In comes Restoration Angel, and this is a snap block if I've ever seen one.
And then we're going to see a Verdict, I believe. Or we're going to see Sad Times for Sam Pardee.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
okay, so we see
boy.
a Thought Scour here.
There's a Revelation and a
Snapcaster
to the Grave. Is there a Verdict?
Draw Step, it was either a Glacial Fortress or an Azorius Charm. We see a Glacial Fortress here, so that may have been what it is.
Verdict? Verdict.
And we are going to see Supreme Verdict.
Boom. And now Jonathan, this whole time, has been drawing cards. I believe he's drawn 3 cards off of his Triumph of Ferocity. So even though that Verdict did kill 3 cards, remember that Sam tossed away a card too. So unless John is empty of creatures here, I think that we're going to see yet more Triumph of Ferocity fuel filling Jonathan up.
And we know that John does have an Angel Serenity in his hand. His draw step for this turn was a Thragtusk. So we are going to see Thragtusk cast here for John. Going to resolve, bring him up to 19. I mean, this is kind of the way that he wants the game to go against this opposing mid-range deck. You know, kind of bait out the Wraths and then get full value with Angel Serenity.
Yeah. Sam Pardee basically absolutely needs to Sphinx's Revelation or he's going to be buried by that Triumph of Ferocity.
And one of the things, I mean, I definitely agree with you that Sphinx's Revelation is a way that Sam can get caught up in this game. But again, one of the reasons that Kessig Wolfrun is such a powerful card is its ability to chase Sphinx's Revelation down.
Yep.
Yet you can't keep up with the cards, of course, because Kessig Wolfrun doesn't draw any cards. It would be the best land ever. But you can keep up with the life gain and basically chase them down with the life gain that they draw. Excuse me, with the life gain that they gain. Can't keep up with the cards, but Wolfrun is one heck of a card at doing a lot of damage. As we do see a Cavern of Souls, I'm going to assume it's going to be naming Angel for this wonderful old beast that's going to be coming down this turn.
Boom. And by beast, figuratively speaking,
yes.
It's a beast in the sense that it's going to bring back, well, not bring back, it's going to exile from the graveyard several cards here for Jonathan. And should that Angel leave play, the Angel will bring with it all of those cards back to Jonathan's hand.
It looks like underneath that Angel Serenity, we have a Sigarda, we have a Borderland Ranger, we have an Avacyn's Pilgrim. And there's the Sphinx's Revelation that you talked about from Sam. Pretty clear that he had that in his hand. Now he's got to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is he just did something that's kind of amazing, and he's still on the back foot in a huge way.
Yeah, he's facing lethal on the board. And he's facing lethal in multiple ways. Let's say that he's able to take care of that Angel Serenity for whatever reason. Or he's able to, you know, Supreme Verdict this turn. I mean, he still has to deal with the 3/3 beast from Thragtusk, the 3 creatures that are coming back, and the Kessig Wolfrun.
Yeah.
So is he going to be able to get himself out of this situation?
And let's pretend, for the sake of argument, that another Angel of Serenity has managed to find its way into Jonathan's hand. I mean, even if he deals with this Angel, which he just did, then another Angel of Serenity will mean endless creatures for Jonathan. And I mean, like, what's going to happen unless Samuel does something to this beast? Wow. Look at that beast.
It's a nice token.
Oh, nice token. But unless Samuel does something to that beast, Triumph of Ferocity is going to supply yet another card to Jonathan. I mean, there's only so much you can do when you're a deck like Sam Pardee's. The path to beat this starts to become... get a flyer on the table and Rune Chanter's Pike the opponent's face.
Yeah, for as much damage as fast as you can.
Before you die.
The interesting thing about this Knight mid-range deck, and this is the kind of deck that you play to have a positive black-red zombies matchup, or, you know, red-black, what have you, against those aggressive decks, is that it has some interesting ways to go about winning the mid-range mirrors. As we've said, there's Kessig Wolfrun on the table. There is a Triumph of Ferocity on the table. As we see the token, as we see the token go bye-bye. But it has these different angles of attack. You know, if you're able to, for whatever reason, be able to deal with Kessig Wolfrun through whatever means you're able to deal with it, you know, Ghost Court or what have you, then you have Triumph of Ferocity attacking you in a different angle by letting you draw 2 cards a turn. Thragtusk attacking you from a different angle, making your removal look relatively poor. Angel Serenity attacking you from an angle if you have to kill this or it's going to kill you, but the creatures it's going to bring back are going to kill you as well. So it's kind of interesting that this mid-range deck, a deck that's been picking up in popularity recently, has all these different angles of attack so long as it can get these things online.
But wait a second. I heard from a very popular pro player that mid-range was dead.
I don't know who said that, but they could be wrong because it's doing well right now.
And, you know, honestly, I've been seeing a lot of positive results for decks like this for the last few weeks.
Yeah, the mid-range decks have been picking up in popularity and have been enjoying, quite a bit of success. as we're going to see Jonathan cast a Garruk Primal Hunter. And this is, as you said, one of the best ways to break open the mid-range mirror.
Oh my god. Like, if you have ever watched Garruk Primal Hunter, whether it's in the Bant decks or in Naya decks or any of those, this card is one of the backbreakers in the mid-range matchups. And primarily what it is about is that the first two modes are absurd. Because if you're in a part where you're grinding, just creating a beast every turn protects the Garruk, and then trades with a Thragtusk or trades with a Thragtusk beast or does any of that. And if you're in a position where you're not grinding, you can usually pick up 5 cards like that and then bust the match open.
And you want to talk about angles of attack. Not only does that thing create things to kill you with, it does draw cards, of course. And if you don't kill it, again, it's going to kill you.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what a lot of the cards in the Naya mid-range deck do. Be it Huntmaster the Fells, be it Thragtusk. You know, there's these cards that, like, if you don't kill it, they kill you, but they kind of punish you for killing them, too. Like, you have to take, like, your turn off to get Garruk Primal Hunter off the board.
Yeah, like I think when we saw earlier Brian Kibler playing a green-black Ooze deck, and when I'd been trying to make a mono-green version work, I was running Garruk, but I think I was wrong. I should have just been doing, you know, Deadbeat Goliaths and all that stuff. But here, in this deck, in the Naya mid-range deck, that Garruk Primal Hunter is doing exactly what you want it to be doing. It's just creating huge problems for Samuel here, and I actually think unless Sam gets a Runechanter's Pike that can be lethal before he's dead, this is over.
Yeah. I mean, he's really having. I mean, it's you know, it's almost impossible for now. You know, he's the one playing the blue deck. He's the one playing Sphinx's Revelation. But who's the one actually drawing more cards here and getting more card advantage? And it's like very clearly John. Triumph Ferocity has been just going to work. If he wants to draw cards with Garruk Primal Hunter, he has the option to do that. But I mean, taking a look at his hand right now, we see 2 Restoration Angels, we see a Thragtusk, we see an Avacyn's Pilgrim, and I mean, we still have that Kessig Wolfrun on the table, and he's hitting a land every turn. So I mean, the world is his oyster right now as you see him coming in with the attack.
Here
saying,
they come.
Do your worst.
And are we going to see a creation of a 1/1 which gets Kessig Wolfrun all over it? Or are we going to see a Sphinx's Revelation for some number? Another Angel, there we go. That's helpful. I mean, it helps, but right now I see a +8 potential from that Kessig Wolfrun. So...
And what we see is we see a +8 potential of a Kessig Wolfrun on a hexproof creature.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's no risk of it going poorly for him.
And the unless Sam has a Azorius Charm, he's going to be taking minimum of 6 damage here. I don't see any other instant answers to creatures that can happen at this point. So yeah, we're going to see a huge pump here, most likely.
And what you see here is just John kind of organizing his turn.
Oh, jeez, look at that hand. He's just so full of gas.
Yeah. He's organizing what he wants to do. You know, he has a ton of cards in his hand. He's got a lot of options. Wolfrun being probably the best option at this point. Yeah. But, you know, he can even do something as simple as just like, you know, I'm going to blink my Angel just so it doesn't die. You know, he has just a ton of options on how he wants to lay this out.
Look at that, +4 it looks like it's going to be the thing. What I was saying earlier was that about the only path I could see for Samuel Pardee to win this is a Runechanter's Pike on a flyer. Because Jonathan has 2 Restoration Angels in his hand, I don't even see that as an out for him anymore.
Yeah, it does seem like Sam is in just a difficult spot. I mean, he did what his deck is supposed to do, which, you know, he slings the Revelation for 5 on John's Instep, drew 5 cards, gained 5 life, and it's almost not mattered.
Yeah.
As we're going to see John create another beast here, saying, you know, I don't need any more cards. I've got plenty, and you have to deal with these 3 beasts in play, and I have a Restoration Angel end of turn if I want it, and I have Kessig Wolfrun if I ever want to use it.
And we see Sam here is at a scant 4 life. Yeah, I think what's going to need to happen for Sam to win is some sort of combination of incredible miracles as well as Jonathan making a mistake. And I just don't foresee any of that happening. So if you're just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here in the booth with Cedric Phillips. This is round 1 of the Star City Games Invitational here. It's Los Angeles. It's sunny, it's warm, and we've got a 1/1 battling against an army of beasts. I don't know who looks like the underdog to you, but to me, Sam Pardee right now looks like the underdog.
Yeah, it's funny how things can change in one weekend. I mean, last weekend we saw Sam in the finals of a Grand Prix, as we're going to see a Snapcaster Mage, and it's going to flash back to Supreme Verdict. We saw Sam in the finals of a Grand Prix, you know, experiencing a ton of success, and now round 1 of this tournament, coming in with no buys, facing down a pretty ugly board position here, as we see a Restoration Angel on the
EOT Restoration Angel, and Jonathan Job is going to activate his personal Howling Mine there and Triumph of Ferocity. And then he could go for it and go for the kill here, or he could just wait a turn and knock Sam to 1. I would actually just do the +1 on the... Just show me that you got it. You got it? Do you have the Azorius Charm? Nope.
That's
okay, there we go. That is that match. And we see a 2-1 victory for Naya midrange. Jonathan Job versus Sam Pardee here. And, I mean, you know, we, I think, saw the power of Triumph of Ferocity. A lot of people ask, well, why not run 4? A part of the reason you don't run 4 Triumph of Ferocity, well, you can get clogged on them. You need to have 1 creature to get the Triumph going.
There can be draws where if you're playing a ton of Triumph of Ferocities, you draw a bunch of Triumph of Ferocities, and you don't actually draw like the creatures to go along with it, or you draw the small guys like Avacyn's Pilgrim, and not the relevant creatures. It's a very good sideboard card, especially in this kind of matchup, because, you know, a Sam Pardee's deck, it's a kind of deck that does have some smaller creatures, you know, does some, you know, maneuvering to get those creatures in play, and